Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Sayyid Farooq Hassan is back with a new episode of Sky is the Limit. Viewers, you must have noticed that I try and bring to you those personalities who have achieved in their lives. They're called achievers, who have contributed to the cause of Pakistan and who have done something spectacular. And I want to share their experiences with you so that you can also get that inspiration which led them to what they are. Today I have a very distinguished personality with myself. He has been awarded Sitara-e-Imtiaz and Hilal-e-Imtiaz by the government of Pakistan. I would say he rose to fame for a lot of reasons, but the main reason was the CPLC, which is Citizen Police Liaison Committee in Karachi, and he was instrumental in resolving a lot of kidnapping cases in Karachi. May I present to you Mr. Ahmed Chinoy. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam.
What a pleasant experience to be here with you. Just let me give you a detailed intro of Mr. Ahmed Chinoy. Mr. Ahmed Chinoy is a managing partner of his business, Sons Group of Companies. He is also the elected director on the board of Pakistan Stock Exchange Limited, the member of the Audit Committee, Human Resources and Remuneration for Pakistan Stock Exchange. He is the director on board of directors of Pakistan Mercantile Exchange Limited and National Clearing Company of Pakistan Limited. He is the former chief of CPLC, as I mentioned in the introduction. He is also the chairman of Pakistan Cloth Merchants Association. He is also the president of All Pakistan Mehman Federation, one of the distinguished Mehmans that we have. And he has also served on the managing committee of Federation of Pakistan Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He is qualified from Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of Pakistan, and he has done a lot of work in his life. So let's share his life journey. Ahmed bhai, I was telling the viewers that I happened to come across you when you were the chairman, when you were heading the CPLC, and I didn't know your other background, but now that I was going through your profile, you've done so much in your life. Where did it all start? Where were you born? Where was your early schooling?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you for giving me this honor to come to your show and be inspired and try to be an inspiration for the younger generation.
You are.
Well, I started my schooling right from Karachi, where I was born, and my first school and the last school was St. Patrick's High School. Then I went to Government Commerce College, did my graduation, and then finally Cost and Management Accountancy from Karachi. It had been a journey in which I tried to be a good student. Alhamdulillah, I passed all my examinations with good honors, and simultaneously was instrumental in doing number of social works in my school days.
Extracurricular, debates, sports?
Everything. And I think the most vital thing that inspired me was the scouting association that I had with them. And scouts is a way to teach brotherhood, to teach friendship, and try to teach to do our own work.
Yep.
And I think that was the pivotal point in which my whole journey transformed and inspired me to become an asset for those people who do want help from me.
Okay.
So simultaneously I was engaged in hospitals and in education work, and finally someone spotted me for the CPLC group, and we were the pioneers of CPLC.
Who was the person who spotted you?
I think Nazim Haji and Jamil Yusuf at that time.
Okay.
And they were the pioneers of CPLC.
Jamil Yusuf was the first head of CPLC?
Nazim Haji and Jamil Yusuf both were the co-chief at that time.
Okay.
And under their guidance and leadership, I started my work and my journey for CPLC from there. Alhamdulillah, my dedication and my commitment towards CPLC gave me great honors.
Yep.
I rose to the level of the district chief, and then finally the assistant chief, the deputy chief, and finally the chief of CPLC.
You worked your way up.
I worked my way out, and I came from bottom to top.
Yeah.
And Alhamdulillah, I've tended to work under the leadership, and then the leadership transformed me into a scenario in which I was responsible for so many shows. We were there to help out the victims of snatching, the victims of kidnapping, the victims of terrorism, and things like that. And Alhamdulillah, we made a plan. We made a plan to eradicate crimes from Karachi. And we were there to help out the police. We were there to help out the common people.
Yep.
And then we tried to create a gap, a bridge between the police and the citizens.
Normal citizens.
And I think that was the point where we got much success. Today, the people are not afraid and hesitant of going towards the police.
That
And
was
I
a very
think that
successful
was,
model.
That was the point where we achieved the success. And obviously, I tried to make people understand that these police people are from our community. They
Yes.
are all from our side,
Yeah.
and we should respect them, and we should make them feel that this is the right way to do. And believe me, apart from the black sheep that we have and that we have in all departments,
Yeah.
the police, but what I found in Karachi was the most reasonable to help out the public.
Ahmed, we will talk about
Yeah.
that in detail. I think this was a very successful model, as you mentioned, and we had a replication in other parts of the country also. Like in Islamabad, we had a citizen liaison committee, Masalati committee, as they would call it, and that model was successful again. So thanks to the pioneering efforts of CPLC. But first, before we come there, I would like to ask you, like during your school days, were you like very good in your studies, like the top 3, or were you an average student? And how actively were you involved in sports? What was your favorite game? And who inspired you at home? How many siblings did you have? Just brief us about that.
Well, in school days, I was an above average student, not amongst the top 3, but always among the top 10.
Okay.
And the main inspiration was my family. It was my father, who always inspired me to get to the top positions.
Okay.
And one thing he always tried to mention me that stay within your limits, don't cross your limits, and
Don't break the law.
don't break the law. And that was the point, I think, which he successfully did it. And he was an average businessman, but he inspired me to go to the top. And obviously his teachings, his followings made me, I tried to make myself a good human being. And obviously the inspiration from the family, the encouragement which I got from the family was too tremendous. And
Were you the youngest in the house?
No, I was the eldest son.
You were the eldest son. Oh, okay.
and,
So a lot of responsibilities on
yeah.
your shoulders.
We were a large family. In fact, we were, I have 8 sisters
Siblings.
and 4 brothers.
Oh, mashallah.
So in total we are 12.
Okay.
But Alhamdulillah, it is such a good family still now, and we are all intact.
Intact.
And in fact, we all 4 brothers are together in the business since a long time. Even after the death of my father 15 years ago, we are still together, and Alhamdulillah going strong. So it's the group that matters. It's the patience that matters, and it's the respect for your elders that matters. And after all, we need to have a very, very good patience to absorb things in the community, you know. So Alhamdulillah, we have got a good name on it. We try to help out in whatever way we can, and try to be a good businessman with good ethics, you know.
So that's amazing. So you were a role model for your younger siblings also, your younger brothers also. And you said you were amongst the top 10 students. What about debates, sports, cricket, hockey, football?
I was very actively involved in all the extracurricular activities. Particularly, I was involved in debating competitions. I was a top 3 debaters from my college.
Okay.
And then I also won the inter-school debate competition at one time, and the intercollegiate debate competition one time. Cricket was my favorite sports, which I had a passion.
You
and
were
still
an
have a
active
passion.
cricket player?
I was an active cricket
Bowler,
player.
batsman, fielder?
Fast bowler.
Fast bowler,
And I
okay.
used to open the fast bowling attack of my college also.
Okay.
And we twice reached the finals of the intercollegiate competition.
And
It
you
was
never
on
thought of
university.
becoming a cricketer, professional cricketer?
I did thought, but obviously my studies were in between, and then my other works which I used to do were tremendous. So I do
You
not
couldn't
regret
get enough
that.
time to
Yeah,
practice.
but I do not regret that. Because I try to serve my community in whatever way we can, starting from the women community to the overall community of Pakistan, whether it's through CPLC, whether it's through educational missions,
Yeah.
or whether it's through health programs.
Okay. So this continued till school, and then you went to college. And what subjects did you take? Were you interested in becoming a doctor or an engineer, which were the most popular professions in those times?
It's an interesting story. I was hoping to become a doctor. I went to a pre-medical college,
Okay.
and my father was away on a business trip. When he came back and when he saw
Heard.
that I was admitted in a pre-medical college, he sat down with me seriously and he told me that, look, I'm running a business and I need my eldest son to take it over at one time.
Ah.
So if you go to a medical school again, obviously I will have to do away with you. So I urge you to change your profession and come back to commerce education. And immediately I realized, I said, yes, as you say. And then the next day he took me to a commerce college and got me admitted over
So
there.
your passion was biology and medicine.
Obviously, my
Your trend, your flair was towards medicine. But because of your father's influence, you decided to take up humanities.
yes, I listened to him at that time.
Okay.
I went against my wishes.
Okay.
And Alhamdulillah, I don't regret that.
You don't regret it.
I feel that I did the right decision.
Okay.
I made the right decision, and
Okay.
I perhaps I earned more honors while going towards commerce education than I would have done it in medical education. I'm now, Alhamdulillah, running 2 major hospitals in the city.
MashaAllah.
One is Kutiana Women Hospital, where I'm chairing the board, and it caters to about 5,000 people
These
per
are
day.
private hospitals or welfare hospitals?
These are private hospitals, but charitable hospitals.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then the other hospital on the board which I am serving is Indus Hospital. That's the Indus Hospital Network.
Indus is doing an amazing
it's
job.
doing an amazing job all around the country, So it's entirely free hospital, and that is the concept, I think, which should be done by every private hospital.
Yes.
And I think institutions like Indus are a great help towards humanity in the whole of the country.
Yep.
And obviously, there are 2 important things. I think I should praise the Sindh government over there. I should praise the Punjab government, in fact, the government of Balochistan and the KPK. They have all been instrumental in helping the Indus board to develop their hospitals over there and run it on an entirely free basis. So at the moment, Indus is running about 13 institutions all around the country.
Wow.
And that's an amazing job that is being done.
Yep.
We are being urged by different governments now to come up and establish more hospitals or take over their hospitals. But obviously we have our limitations.
Yes, obviously.
So
your
right at the
management team
moment,
and
the
all.
Indus management has decided to stick to its present mandate, go with it. Maybe on a later stage we develop more people, and then we develop more hospitals.
Okay.
Likewise that.
Fair enough. Great. Okay, so when you switched from medicine to humanities or arts or
Commerce.
accounts, basically, how was the transition? Did you have any difficulties in coping up with the number crunching, or was it natural to you being a Maiman?
I think it was natural to me. I think within a week I was all set in doing my accountancy, in doing my banking subjects, and again commerce subjects. So
Okay.
I think that was much easier for me, being a Maiman, being so close to the business community.
Yeah.
And at that time, I still remember that I was regularly going to office with my father.
Okay.
And
Getting the
especially,
first-hand experience.
obviously, yes. And especially during my holidays, we were always there. So I had a fair knowledge of how things go on. The major subjects in POC were the banking transactions that we used to do, the honoring of contracts, making of contracts, and then simultaneously correspondence with the foreign buyers or the local suppliers. So those were a natural flair that came to me. And obviously we picked it up very well. And finally, Alhamdulillah, one day, when my father was gone or when he was not well, I was in charge of the business, and we took it to new heights, with the
Yeah.
passage of time.
Amazing, amazing.
So,
Okay, so you did your degree in commerce, you did accountancy, and then you joined your family's
Yeah.
business, right? That is a very normal, natural life that any youngster would have, enjoying everything. What prompted you to come into CPLC and to do much more than what is required?
Well, one thing I would like to mention here that Memans are always there to help out people. And the word Meman is being derived from Momin. And Alhamdulillah, Momins are those who tend to help out
Yes,
people, you know.
absolutely.
That's the basic
They shine out.
teaching of our religion, Islam. So it was a natural flair, and immediately as I joined business, I was already heading the subsidiaries of our Memon Association.
Yeah, Memon Federation. There's a
Yeah.
World Memon Federation also.
It's a World Memon Federation, and it's All Pakistan Memon Federation. And then under the umbrella of All Pakistan Memon Federation, we have about 76 subsidiaries, 76 different communities.
Okay.
So I was already heading one of the community at that time. And finally, I did a lot of work for that subsidiary organization. And
That was while running your business, you were
that-
involved in your
Yeah.
Memon Federation also.
so obviously,
Social work and
people took note of it that I already established an eye hospital over there at that time. Then we established a school in that community.
That was under the Memon Federation?
No, that was under the subsidiary of Memon Federation.
Okay, okay.
One of the associations that we have under the
Okay.
banner of All Pakistan Memon
Okay,
Federation.
okay.
So obviously the people in the town, when they knew about me, when they spotted me, they asked me to join CPLC. I studied the mandate, and I think this was the position that I was looking for.
This, we are talking about 90s, mid 90s?
It was early 1991.
Early 90s. Okay.
Yeah,
so
early 90s.
people approached you and they asked you to take over CPLC, which at that time was a rising star because
It was a rising star.
there
It
was a lot of
its
crime in the
initial
city.
stage. The city was full of crimes. It was full of kidnapping crimes.
We're talking about Karachi.
I was talking about Karachi. And CPLC tried to find out ways and means to recover the abductees, you know.
Yeah.
And we were part and parcel of that team. And obviously, these were very sensitive cases. These cases required a lot of patience, you know.
Major criminal activities were snatching and kidnapping.
And kidnapping.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
All right.
So kidnapping for ransom was on the rise. If you remember, at times a new industrial unit in Karachi had been established, and that was Nooriabad Industrial Estate.
Yes.
So many of the people all around the country came over there, bought their houses over there, bought a lot of land for their factories, and then this kidnapping all started. So I still remember 8 to 10 of these large industrialists who went back to Punjab, and then they established their industries in the Raiwand sector. And I think that was a turning point where Karachi got a big jolt, and all these industries shifted from Karachi to Lahore. I'm not critical about it. It's okay. You can establish factories, industries anywhere. But the advantage that Karachi had was lost to them.
The port city, the
It was a
commercial
port
hub.
city. It was a commercial hub.
Yeah.
Anyhow, they managed themselves. Lahore was again declared a dry port. If you remember, Sialkot was declared a dry
Yeah.
port, and things started maneuvering.
What were the authorities vested in the chief of CPLC, and what were the responsibilities, if you don't mind elaborating on?
The main responsibility was to liaison between the police and the general public,
Okay.
and to help police in preventing the crimes in whatever way we can.
Okay.
The authority was that we were declared as first class magistrate, and those magistrates had the power to arrest and the power to release with the permission of the concerned court. So I think that was the turning point wherein the CPLC got those powers. I still remember I have never used those powers, because if I intended to release someone from the court or from the clutches of the police, what we did was, and that was our SOP, that we requested the concerned police officers and the concerned magistrates to do that job. And if they do not comply with it, then we can always use our powers. So Alhamdulillah, I think at not a single time when I had been an honorary magistrate for 16 years,
You never used
I
your...
never used my powers. And I think that was the point wherein the CPLC was with the powers, but we never used those powers because our good presentation to the concerned magistrates and the concerned police officers compelled to release those persons or to arrest those persons.
But Ahmed bhai, tell me one thing. Tracing these kidnapped victims, it's a crime, organized crime. Takes a lot of, as you said, patience and a lot of skill and training also. Were you people, were the people working for CPLC, were they equipped with such skills or such training?
Okay. Uh, o- Obviously, we got this knowledge from our seniors, that was Jamil Yusuf and Nazim Haji. And then slowly but gradually, we developed the whole technique of anti-kidnapping team, you know. We were equipped with so many equipments. We were equipped with mobile phone trackers. We were equipped with the on-site information of who's calling who, and then the location.
You had all that equipment. The government of Sindh provided you with that.
No, those equipments were always with the higher authorities, the sensitive authorities. But we had access to those information.
To that
and
information,
knowledge.
if you
Yeah.
requested.
And obviously, they knew that we were doing a right thing, and along with them, we formed a lethal team. You know, so we exactly knew from where the kidnapper was calling. We exactly knew that what was the gang that was involved in it. We exactly knew that how much time this gang will take. We exactly knew that what would be the ransom amount that would be called for, and then we tried to train the victims' family who were receiving those calls. And those victims' families were so well trained by us that they used to talk to those kidnappers for hours and hours, you know. And that gave us an opportunity to
track them.
locate them, to track them, to go and apprehend them, and to get our victims successfully released from them. Uh, there were certain times when the kidnappers exactly knew that what we were doing.
Yes, exactly.
So-
I'm sure
so
they were
the-
intelligent
yeah,
enough.
They were intelligent enough. So they used other means to negotiate, and finally, when we felt that there's no way out, we would ask the victim's family to take the ransom along with them, and we always used to be on track with them. We had our teams deployed, and we did the dangerous thing that when the ransom exchanges were being made,
You used to nab the.
we used to nab them after the money had been received by the kidnappers, and we used to go out in the field, we used to go after them, and alhamdulillah, we used to successfully apprehend them.
And how many cases approximately would you think did you resolve while you were heading the?
I think more than 5,000. And
More than 5,000?
More than 5,000 cases.
My
and
God,
that
that's a
was a
huge number.
plethora of cases. You know, every day we used to get complaint of 10 to 15 kidnapping cases.
Oh my God.
And we were so grossly involved in that,
Ah.
that 2013 was the most dreaded year, you know. On an average, 10 to 15 cases per day.
Every day.
Every day. The Nawaz Sharif government came in at that time, PMLN government. Mia Saab came to Karachi, the Prime Minister himself, and he chaired a high-level meeting in which he declared the Karachi operation open. And before that, he sat down with us. I explained to them the whole scenario of Karachi, what is the kidnapping situation, what is the other crime
And the
situation.
new concept of short-term kidnapping also.
Short-term
In
kidnapping.
which the
That was
victim was
again,
taken around.
the victim was
driven around.
always in the car.
Yeah, yeah.
And the kidnappers were always there in the car.
Yeah.
And they were so smart enough that the location couldn't be traced because it was a moving location. But alhamdulillah, we had other means, we had other tactics to adopt, and we apprehended them. It was such a good teamwork that they were always surprised, because whatever the victim's family tried to tell the kidnappers, they always yell at them that don't speak the language of CPLC. You are taking guidance from CPLC and we will kill your victim. Obviously, the victims' families were harassed at that time, but we used to console them. We used to tell them that try to be patient.
Well, that is a very important facet also, to
yeah.
manage the family of the victim, because they are under a lot of stress, duress.
You know, one more thing that we try to always tell them, that look, they have a victim with them, they need money, and they will never harm the victim
they
until
get the
unless they have the hope that they will get the
Because
money.
there is no personal enmity. They
There's
are
a-
only
there's
after
no-
money.
They are only after money. So they won't at any stage harm the victim. There have been instances, one or two instances in which the victim were killed. I think 2 instances in my whole career. But that was prior to the negotiation that they took. They killed the victim first, and then they tried to negotiate with the family. And we knew exactly that what had happened. So we tried to console the family that just keep on negotiating, because we knew that the victim was not there. Because the first demand that we used to make was to make the family talk to the victim.
Okay.
And if the victim is not there,
Then it's.
They were smart enough. Sometimes they were using tape recorded voices. And
Different technique. I'm sure there must be a
different
lot of
technology.
knowledge for you.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a whole science, you know,
science.
and it's a whole study.
Out of these 5,000 cases that you managed to resolve during your tenure as chief of CPLC, could you, if I was to ask you, the most sensitive or interesting or from learning perspective, the most different, unique case, if I was to ask you to single it out, which one would that be?
Well, I would try to open that in public now. That was the case of Riaz Chinoy.
Okay.
He was the victim, and he's still the owner of one of a very large steel mill in
Is
Pakistan.
he related to you?
He's not related to me. He was my namesake, but we were good friends. You
Good
know.
friends, okay.
And I knew the family very well. So when the incident took place, his father
He was kidnapped?
he was kidnapped on his way back to home from the factory that
Okay.
was in Ben Qasim town.
Okay.
And everyone was really perplexed that such a good businessman has been kidnapped, and they were trying. Everyone was amazed at that. You know? And even the higher authorities in Pakistan, the sensitive agencies in Pakistan, were all after that case. That case took about 3.5 months. And hats off to the family that they had all the patience
3.5
in the
months
world.
he
Yeah.
was kidnapped. Okay.
And they were daily in touch with me. I used to go to their home day and night, and we used to sit down. We used to talk, make them talk to the kidnappers. The kidnappers were so smart, so well informed that they were changing locations every time. And in fact, the last location where we apprehended them, they were there for the last 40 days or so, and no one knew that where the
That they
location
were living.
was.
Okay.
No one knew. And we just got hold of one of the helpers over there. And that was by coincidence. When we were tracking down the numbers, we came down to a number in which we thought that this can be the person. And somehow or the other, we apprehended him by technical details and all that. And when we got hold of him, believe me, he did not divulge a single information to us, no matter what you do to him. And he said an oath number of times to us that yes, I was there with Riaz, but I was taken there blindfolded, and I was released, or I came out of that place blindfolded. So I've got no
I
slightest
cannot assist
idea.
you in any way.
I have got no slightest idea. When we pressurized him like anything, he finally came up with three main pointers, you know. One was that that place had a huge jump, and people were calling that jump by the name of Nasir Jump. And we immediately realized that it's the Kurangi area.
Kurangi area.
Yeah, because Nasir Jump is located in Kurangi area. Then he said that at that place I used to hear the noise of the aircraft going and coming. So that was again the Kurangi Air Base. Then he said that that was a place which had no sewerage, but it was a place where we had sewerage pipes outside, and where we had the smell of fresh sand over there. So that was those bhattas, you know, over there. So that was enough for us. And then finally he had a very, very solid point to make to us. And that said this, he said that from the windows I can see a huge tank outside somewhere, and I can see the two sides of the tank, and a particular name was written on that, on the two sides. So maybe on the fourth side that name was written. So we got that name from him, and we tried to locate that area around the Kurangi area. Even I think by default the Riaz family came to know about that name, and they themselves tried to locate that place. And when finally one day they told me, so I really made them understand that that's not your part to go over there. It's our part. So please.
Because I'm sure
stay
the
at home.
family would have been
Yeah,
perturbed.
obviously. But finally, no one was able to find that place. But at least we were determined to go there. I went there myself so many times. Finally, one day I collected my team in the afternoon, and let's say about 40 CPLC volunteers roamed about that area trying to find out that place. I couldn't do that. Still, it was late in the evening and everything was dark. I went to a nearby state agency and I told him that I'm looking for a place here. He immediately recognized me that I'm Ahmed Chinoy, the head of CPLC. And he said, no, you are not looking for a
You were a
police.
famous, you
Yeah.
still are a famous person, but at that time everyone knew you.
Yeah. So he said, what do you want to know from me? So then I told him that, look, sit down, you must assist us, and we will suitably reward you. So then I asked him to locate this place for me. He said, I know this place, but I will see it myself again tomorrow morning, and then I'll call you in the evening. Next day in the evening, mid-afternoon, he called me and said that come over to my place, but without any protocol or any gunmen or things.
Okay.
And come in a small car. So I, along with one of my colleagues, went over there, took him from his shop, and within 2 minutes, he landed us to the place where that name was written.
That name was written on 2 sides.
And that was remarkable at that time. You know, the victim's family was ready to pay any amount. In fact, it was more than 100 million or more than 1,000 million that they were able to willing to pay. So I told them to hold on. Let's have faith in God, and we will inshallah try to manage it. So immediately I contacted my whole team, and then we had that person in captivity with us who had seen that place, and then we called for him. We went to that place. He was also amazed. He said, "Yes, this is the place, but I don't know which house it is."
Okay.
So then finally we roamed about that place.
It must be very frustrating for you.
It was very frustrating. We roamed about that place, and finally we located that place. Obviously, we had our SOPs. We surrounded that place. We asked. We went in, but before we went in, when we
rang
the bell to make someone come out, he had the full motorcycle with full explosive, and he was. I think it was God's will that he was so terrified that he started running back instead of blowing up that motorcycle. Otherwise, we all would have gone up.
Okay.
So immediately we caught hold of him. The people, the police commandos barged in, and we straight went to the room where he was kept. And I opened that room, and he was there, and he said that, Ahmed Chinoy, I was hoping and praying that you will come to rescue me. And I think that was the point where I got my greatest solace,
Wow. So after
that,
3.5 months, the first words that he said were for you.
Yeah. So that was, I think, the most difficult and the most amazing cases that we had done.
Amazing.
And it took a lot of work, a lot of teamwork,
a lot of patience.
And I think hats off to our intelligence agencies that they were always with us.
Very cooperative.
Yes.
How much strength did CPLC have? How many volunteers? How many team members?
I think over 100.
Over 100.
And still we are.
They were all enrolled with you.
They are all enrolled.
And is CPLC still continuing on the same spree?
It's still continuing, but honestly speaking, I think it's not on the same wavelength or same activity that we used to have in those days. I think one of the reasons could be that the crime numbers have gone down in Karachi, but still I believe in serving the people, whether it's low numbers or whether it's high numbers. We should always be available to the public, because we are on a public institution, and the public is always there with us, expecting us to do something for them, expecting us to give them relief. So I think we must keep this motto alive, that we must always be there and ready to help out the people.
I'm sure people still must be approaching you also, because you were
Obviously,
an icon for CPLC.
There's not a day when I'm not contacted by people for help, whether it's regarding CPLC or whether it's regarding anything. And I am always there to help them out. I try to find my own resources, try to keep them get them in touch with the CPLC people, and then try to assist them in whatever way I can.
Okay.
And thanks to the existing police high-ups, that they are still cooperative, they still do respect me, and whenever I contact them for help,
they give you due assistance.
They give us due assistance. So hats off to them.
Anyway, you saw it, and I'd like to wind it up on this note, because there's a lot more to talk about also. But you saw the criminal activities in Karachi very closely at that very troubled time. Where did these criminals come from? Were they homegrown? Were they from another country? Were they from another city? What was their logic? What was their psyche? And why was it on the rise? You must have understood it by then.
I understood that. I knew that, and I still knew what's happening around. You know, those bigger crimes like kidnapping for ransom, terrorism.
Yeah.
They were all committed partly from the home ground and majority from across the country. We had kidnappers from KPK, from Balochistan, from interior of Sindh, and from Punjab also to a certain extent. And they were all involved in those activities, only the criminal activities. And we had a track record of all of them, and we used to nab them whenever we got a chance. The governments, the provincial governments were also too helpful with us, and obviously those terrorists which came from Afghanistan, they were also a part and responsible for it. They settled down in the no-go areas in KPK. Then they settled in the hilly and mountaineering areas of Balochistan also. And some of them took their victims
Along with themselves.
along with them to Afghanistan also. So we used to get calls from them. There were no border barriers for them. There were several places from where they can cross the borders of Pakistan into Afghanistan and maybe into Iran also. So that was a lot of, I think, activity going on. Nowadays, I've been always emphasizing on the media that the crime in Karachi, whether it's street crime, whether it's other crime, street crime is the most common crime today in Karachi.
It's a nuisance.
So I've been always telling on various forums that I think it's the responsibility of the area police. And believe me, these criminal elements, whether they are living in any areas of Karachi, the area SHO and the area police, they have their own CID network. They know that where the criminals are living in their area, whether they are operating in their area or in any other area.
So why do they let it happen?
So that's a big question mark. So I have always been advocating that you need to emphasize more on your area police stations, and I've been asking the higher police officials to make them responsible. The fact is that we have number of special units that are being made in Karachi, special units for anti-crime, and for anti-car lifting, for anti-kidnapping, for anti-street crimes and so on. So my firm belief is that in a city which is more than 250 million, which has a covered area of more than 4,500 square meters, 112 police stations are not enough. Then why do we have special units consisting of 200 to 250 people? They can't manage that such a huge, humongous area. So it's the area police, whether it's small or big, that should be made responsible for those crimes.
And accountable.
And they should be accountable for it. So that's my philosophy and theory.
That's amazing, and I think that's a logical approach. And do you think a force like Dolphin Squad or a Eagle Squad that was successfully launched in Lahore, in Punjab, different cities, do you think that would work in Karachi?
Obviously they can work, but we have got to concentrate more on e-policing. We have to digitalize the whole of city. And when you digitalize the whole of city, if the crime is happening on the camera, if you are viewing it, you must have the ability to rely on the response units. And those response units can be Eagle Squad, Dolphin Squad, or whatever it can be. So we should have the whole area digitalized.
The safe city concept should be implemented.
And then we must have the responding units to it. If you don't have responding units to it, I think we should do away with this whole digitalization.
Fair enough. Thank you very much, Ahmed bhai. We're going to take a short break, viewers. That was a lot of intense talk on CPLC, but that has been the hallmark till now, I would feel. Ahmed bhai has served on various positions. We're going to talk about those also, but CPLC, I think one of the most critical assignments that he did, and did very successfully. So I wanted to spend some time on talking on that. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back to Sky's the Limit with Syed Farooq Hassan. I have the distinguished Ahmed Chinoy with myself, Sitara Imtiaz, Hilal Imtiaz. Ahmed bhai, we talked a lot about CPLC. I would now like to talk more about the economy. You are a established businessman also. You are heading the Cloth Merchants Association as the chairman, and you're also a director on the stock
Thanks.
exchange. So I would like you to brief me firstly about the business environment right now in the country, and what positive steps can we do to enhance the productivity and take our country to the right direction.
Thank you. Uh, One word, Pakistan has great potential. And I'm not giving this statement as a bluff to you. This statement is substantiated by the last 5 years performance of the listed companies on the stock exchange. And those companies that have been earning, let's say 20 million, they're earning 200 million now. It's a transformation. Those companies which were earning, let's say 100 million, are earning 1,000 million.
It's factual data.
Yes, it's a factual data, whether it's in IT, whether it's in textiles, whether it's in engineering, whether it's in chemical, blah, 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 blah. And this factual data proves that Pakistan is a country with a lot of potential. People have earned money due to the positive policies of the government, but the fact is that the country has been going poorer and poorer. The main reason for that is the unwanted subsidiaries which have been extended to those sectors which were not needed. And I think those subsidiaries resulted...
Subsidies, you mean?
Subsidies. Those subsidies resulted in major credit deficiencies of Pakistan.
And a major drain on the exchequer also.
Major drain. But still, I recommend that Pakistan is a country to invest. People need to trust in Pakistan. The sad fact is that we are earning money in Pakistan, but we are trying to spend somewhere out of Pakistan. And I think that is the worst scenario that Pakistan is facing now. Coming back to what further potentials we have, I think two major things have happened now in Pakistan in the recent past 1 month or so. One is the establishment of SIFC, that is the Special Investment Facilitation Council, in which 5 major Pakistani products or stakeholders have been taken into it. That is agriculture, that is mining, that is IT, that is petroleum, and blah blah. So these 5 major products are in that. The concerned secretaries are there, the concerned ministers are there. Then the most amazing part is that the 5 authorities which give due permission to those investments in Pakistan are there. The FBR is there, the State Bank is there, the CCP is there, the Board of Investment is there, and the concerned ministry is there. So what I believe is that already it has been announced that $28 billion dollar MOU has been signed with Saudi and UAE. I think a lot is yet to come. The best part is that work which used to take to take time, like I said, 2 years in Pakistan, to get the necessary permissions and establish an industry, I think that will be maximum 2 months. So that's an amazing transformation that will help those industries to come and operate here. They have been given constitutional project in the recent amendments that happened in the Senate and the National Assembly a few weeks back.
Yep.
And I think that would be an amazing opportunity for foreigners to come and invest here. The second part is the green agricultural revolution that we have been planning. There have been hundreds and thousands of acres that the government has planned to give to the potential investors. They all would be on rental module, and those rental module would be facilitating the investors not only to invest in agriculture, and if they try not to invest and just keep the land, the government is bound to take those lands back from you.
That's a very
so
vital point.
I think that's a win-win position, not only for the government but also for the investors, and that is again a win-win position for the Pakistan agricultural economy. We, inshallah, would be self-sufficient in all the agricultural products in the next 3 years to come if this goes right.
Inshallah.
So I see a lot of potential for Pakistan through the SIFC and through this agricultural revolution. So we need to be patient in that. I know that there's a lot of hue and cry amongst the people for the high scale inflation that we have, but I think the people have to bear with it for some time. These policies are in the right direction, and once this investment comes in, start moving, we will have a better dollar rate to Pak rupees, and I think things would cool down. The interest rate, which is hovering around 23%, will also inshallah come down, and I see a very, very bright future for Pakistan in days to come.
That's very encouraging coming from an established businessman like you, and I think I would just like to reiterate 2 things that Mr. Chinoy just said. One is the faith in Pakistan. This is our identity, this is our country. We all of us own it. All of us are Pakistanis. Our identity is linked to Pakistan. So we need to believe in Pakistan, because unless you believe, you can't make it happen. And secondly, very rightly pointed out, the SEZs, the special economic zones which are established, are to develop the business activities further, not just to hold land and to play in real estate. So I think that is a very valid point, and now with this council coming into place, I think that will ensure that things move and move in the right direction. That is essential.
I think this will, inshallah, move in the right direction. The simple reason is that all the stakeholders are there at one place. Obviously, the army chief, along with his team, is there to monitor it, and the prime minister and his team are there to make it implement.
Fair enough.
So there was a common complaint that whenever the investor comes in Pakistan, he was subjected to so many questions. He was subjected to so many difficulties.
Making business easy.
So it would make the business easy. It would ask them to come and invest in whatever way you can. And I think this is the time really to own Pakistan. And if we own Pakistan at this time, Pakistan will not have to look back, and Pakistan will always look forward, inshallah.
Fair enough. Yeah, we all need to come together and unite on one platform. Mr. Chinoy, you are also a director at the stock exchange. The stock exchange has been behaving very erratically. I must say, it's acted very speculatively. What do you have to say to that?
Obviously, the stock exchange in the past 2-3 years is on a lopsided venture. The simple reason being that the interest rates are going very high. You can't expect people to invest in the stock exchange when the interest rates are around 23%, and the payback, the dividend rate is around 6 to 7%, the average dividend yield. Then the average capital yield is around 12-13%. So in no way people would go there and invest, because there is always a possibility then that in the stock market
of a risk.
So in this security, in this bank interest business, in this treasury bill business, this is a much safer investment for the people, and the common man will always go to buy treasury bills to get a good interest rate.
But that will not increase the business activity, because there is no capex.
I completely agree to that. But in fact, as a simple investor, everyone would like to have more and more profits on his investments. So if he's not getting investments on his profit, if he's not getting appreciation on his investment in Pakistan Stock Exchange, then obviously he will try to find other ways and means. But all said and done, the PE ratio in to an average is around 3. Is around 3 in Pakistan. Normally it's around 11 to 12 everywhere in the world.
Okay.
So still there is a lot of potential in the Pakistan stock market
and
to
we can
go
tap
up
on
like
it.
And you can tap on it.
Fair enough.
The simple solution is that people must have confidence and trust in the stock exchange. And I think when the interest rates goes down, which hopefully we will see inshallah in months to come, then the stock market would always go a long way. This is the time really to invest in Pakistan at these low rates. And if people invest in Pakistan stock exchange at these low rates, inshallah in future they are bound to get maximum benefit out of it.
One last question before we close this. So you are heading the Cloth Merchant Association as chairman. Pakistan is a cotton grower, and we export cotton also, but things have been dwindling lately. There's a lot of raw material that we import, and due to the pressure on forex, things have not been, perfect for that matter. Why can't we develop indigenous industry? Why can't we develop this raw material that we import to capitalize on our produce, which is the best in the market? Why can't we do that?
That's a good question. If you remember, we had the maximum cotton output of 15 million bales about 10 years back. And then we started dwindling back, and we came down to 4.5 billion bales last year. But this year, it's a turnaround for Pakistan. This year, it's expected that we will have about 12 to 12.5 million bales. And I think that would save about $3 billion just in cotton. So if you make a value addition to it, we can go up to $8-9 billion. So I think now it's a turnaround that has come up. It's because of the better quality seeds that have been used. It's because of the better technology while sowing that has been used. And I think the Punjab government in the past 6 months have been very vigilant on that. They have digitalized the whole area of cotton belt, and they have mapped it, and they are trying to monitor it on a regular
So
basis.
that's a model we can replicate in other parts.
I think we can do that. If it can be done in Punjab, it can be done in Sindh, Balochistan, and KPK also. But the best thing is that Sindh is also coming up with double cotton production this year. Balochistan, we will have a good cotton production. I think one of the main other primary reason is that since we had floods and rains in the last few years, this year the land is very fertile, and the cotton output seems to be very good. So if the cotton output is good, the seeds are being used well, we have less fear of pesticides, infections and all that. So I think better use of those pesticides will also be a
Enhance the
major.
productivity.
Yeah.
Great. Ahmed bhai, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. We have paucity of time. Just before we close, what message would you like to give to the youth of Pakistan?
Love for your country. That's it. I think if you love your country, you can do anything for the country.
Awesome.
And this is the message that can go across, and anything
Make a
beyond
difference.
that, this will make a difference.
Love your country, love Pakistan. This is our identity. We all own it, and we all need to come together on one platform. Unity is the key to success. That was very well said. Thank you very much, Ahmed bhai. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time. Viewers, with this we come to the end of this episode of Sky is the Limit. Inshallah, till we meet again. Allah Hafiz.